Hello, I'm Janine Kakmar with PHTV Channel 4 Palos Heights, and we're back with the show, Healthcare Experts in Your Corner. And on the show, we take a look at the different healthcare resources and events going on in our community, and then we get to visit with a guest who will talk about the events in detail. And today we have with us Kathy Beery. Kathy, thanks for being with us. Kathy's a nurse that opened up the Caregiver Resource Center at the Palos Health, the hospital here in town. And you're going to tell us a little bit more about that, right, Kathy?
Yes, Janine, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
We are anxious to tell everyone about the new Resource Center. And our Resource Center is called the Caregiver Resource Center. It's located in the lobby of the hospital.
Okay.
And it is open on Monday through Friday, 9 to 1. And it's for family caregivers that need support, have any questions, maybe aren't understanding or want to prepare how to get ready to bring maybe a family member home from the hospital, or maybe they're caring for someone at home.
That can be a daunting task for someone.
Being a caregiver is very, very challenging, and many people are caregivers or can foresee in their near future that they may need to take on some responsibility for their spouse or their elderly parent, and they're not sure what to do.
Right.
So this is a safe, non-threatening place that people can come to for support.
Is it just open hours? You can just walk in and
Open
get,
hours. There is no charge.
No appointment?
No appointment is needed, and we make it safe and inviting, and a place that, for example, we have one woman who just feels overwhelmed at times and just wants to come in. So she comes in kind of regularly just to talk to the girls that she has gotten to know.
Who works at this center?
We have a group of volunteers, and all of our volunteers are experienced in the caregiver role and retired healthcare professionals with excellent communication skills. They really do understand it, usually from a personal point of view and from a professional point of view. So they're there. They're well aware of what the resources are out in the community. And we find that sometimes people are very overwhelmed and they might not even know what to do next. So we can listen to what they're thinking about. Our goal is to ask them, tell us what's important to you.
Yeah.
Tell us what you want for your parent or for your spouse.
Because they've suddenly, or maybe not so suddenly, have acquired this role of taking care of a loved one.
Right.
I mean, they have the family member or whoever they are, and now that can be a burden. I mean, that can be kind of scary. Like all of a sudden now their well-being is dependent on this person now, and all of a sudden, what do I do? Where do I go? And
exactly, and very much, most recently, we're seeing a lot of people that are in the hospital, and maybe their parent was living quite independently, and they had a bad fall. And they're thrown into this situation. And the hospital is making arrangements for the immediate follow-up. Maybe the person broke their hips, so they might be doing some rehab. But this is making the whole family look at the long-term situation. After rehab, how can we make this work?
Yeah.
So we talk about different ways, and we ask them, what's important to you? What does your wife want to do? Does she want to go back home? There are many different venues and options for support, and people need to understand the difference between them.
What could they expect to find when they walk in? Like, what kind of resources? You said you had people who were there, staffed by a good staff. What other things would they expect to find?
So when a person comes in, usually we ask them to sit down and we just listen to what's on their mind. What are they worried about? And then we have information to give out, such as information on dementia. Sometimes people, for example, I had one gentleman come in, and he happened to be there to get his own labs drawn. And he saw it, and he came in and he said, I don't need anything now. My wife and I are doing quite well. They were both well into their 80s. Everyone's fine. His wife had a little bit of dementia. And he said, I just have a couple questions. He said, I'm wondering why she doesn't want to cooperate too much late in the day. She had a little bit of sundowners. And he just needed some information, and we gave him some information on dementia. And we asked him what was important to him in the long run, looking forward the next months and years. And he said, I'd really, really like to stay in my own home, but I'm feeling a lot of pressure that we should go live in a facility. And he didn't really know what his options were. So we talked about the difference between independent living, assisted living, skilled care, hiring someone to help out at home.
Those are all huge decisions to make.
They are, and they shouldn't
scary.
be made overnight. They're really best made before a crisis. So that was, you know, an accident that he came in, but it gave him some food for thought.
And probably a lot of comfort knowing that at least if he wasn't ready to make a decision that day, that he had some place to turn to. He knew he could find some information.
Right, exactly.
What a great comfort to have.
We want to empower the caregivers because they do have some choices.
Yeah.
The other thing that we really want to stress is that caregiving can be very, very stressful.
Right.
Very isolating, and people forget to take care of themselves when they're caregivers.
Yeah.
So that is something that we really focus on, maybe giving the caregiver permission to take care of themselves and some information on self-care.
Yeah.
We also have a support group that we hold once a month.
And what is that?
And that is held the first Wednesday at the hospital at 6 p.m. We run about an hour and a half.
Where at in the hospital?
You enter at the main lobby, and then they direct the caregivers to a conference room in the lower level of the hospital. And this is a place where people, it's a safe venue. It's confidential, what they talk about. They can be real about the struggles they have. And it's not just one person offering tips for coping, but it's other caregivers saying, well, I tried this and it really worked. There's tears, there's laughter, and they walk away feeling good about themselves because they are caregivers and they deserve
and probably a little bit more connected to other people.
Other caregivers,
and to the and like you said, not so isolated, and again, taking care of themselves, which is really key when you're taking care of somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great. So, do they have to sign up ahead of time for the support group, or they just walk in?
They can drop in, and we realize that when you're a caregiver, you don't know what your day's going to look like. And if you're having a rough day, so there's no cost, there's no obligation, and they can just come. Many of our caregivers have been coming off and on for a couple of years. So they get to know each other. Sometimes people want to come and just talk about something they're dealing with that is an issue. For example, we had one gentleman come in and he was concerned about his parent. He had moved from out of state as his elderly mother became a little more ill. And she was doing pretty well, but a month before she had broke her arm.
Oh dear.
Now, as many people are, they don't really want a stranger in their house and they don't want a caregiver until they really need it. And he was struggling to find a way for her to maintain her dignity. And his biggest problem that he said was he didn't want to help his mom shower because that would make her uncomfortable. She now had a broken arm, but otherwise she was fiercely independent. So we were able to point out a resource of someone who could come in, you know, a service offered by Palos Hospital that has private duty, that someone could come in and just help them bathe once or twice a week. And she was happy, he was happy, and it allowed her to be a little happier at home for a while and safer.
Great, yeah, absolutely. So do they have to be a patient at the hospital or have a doctor at the hospital to participate in this resource center?
No, this is a resource for anyone in the community.
Wow.
So
it's pretty good. So you have to check that out if you need to.
Yes.
It's good to know. What else do you think we should let people know about at the center?
I think that they should know that we are there to help them figure out what they need to, you know, what their struggle is. Maybe they're worried about some home safety, and we can go over some things like that.
Like what do you mean home safety?
Like this gentleman that came in, he wanted to know what he could do to assure that him and his wife could stay at home as long as possible. And we talked about the reality of the fact that as most people get hurt or fall in their own home. So maybe he could make the house as safe as possible.
Like with rugs or
with loose rugs, maybe with some safety bars, just some different things to think about to make the house adaptable for an aging couple.
Wow, that's something you don't
think about
because you're in your home all the, you know, you've how long you've been in your home, and you just take so many things for granted.
Right.
You didn't realize that something could be a danger, or you
Right.
get something that could be readily fixed.
Right.
You know.
The other thing is maybe an elderly couple has trouble making their own meals. You know, maybe there's some safety issues with having to carry heavy dishes and that. So
Okay.
home delivered meals is something that we can make them aware of.
Okay.
And there's good community services out there. There's an organization, Senior Services,
Okay.
that has some eligibility,
Okay.
you know, and services for anyone out there that is of the aging population.
Okay.
We ask people if they're veterans, because many veterans
Okay.
have some options.
Oh,
So
that's good to know as
there's
well.
different things to
Yeah.
remind people of.
Okay. Great. And you said this is all free?
Yes. yes.
That's incredible.
Yes. Now, we're not giving the services themselves. We're just telling people about different services in the community.
So they can come and find out information
Right.
about
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So how do they get in touch? Do they need to get in touch with anybody?
If some people, obviously, if they're caregivers, sometimes they don't have the freedom to go to the hospital, so they
Right.
can just call, and our number is 708-923-4970.
Okay. So that's posted on the screen.
Right.
Okay.
And if they call and we're not there, there's a voicemail set up, and we will call them back.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want everyone to know out there when they think about the Caregiver Resource Center at the hospital?
I would say if you're even interested, give us a call and get to know what we have available, because maybe somewhere down the road they're going to need some support.
Okay.
There's an old saying in caregiving that everyone, there's 4 types of caregivers. You either were a caregiver, you are a caregiver, you're going to need a caregiver, or you will be a caregiver in the long run. So,
wow. Okay. How about online? Any online information anybody could look up on their website? Or
they can go to the hospital website, and we have a lot of information about the different resources that are there. If
so
someone
in case
prefers
you can't
to
get
do
out of the
that,
house and you're you got some free
Exactly.
time to look up things online.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Great. Well, Kathy, thanks so much for being with us today, and thank you for watching. And keep that in mind.
Thank you.
If you need any help, give Kathy a call. And thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.